Hi friends, so I'm back with a new video, and this time it's not about writing or grammar, but it is about speaking module. And I have taken the very basic things about the speaking, especially for the students who are native of Punjab and even the Kerala side, because I have taught those students and they feel difficulty in speaking module, right? So I have come up with very simpler form to explain what speaking actually means. People have made it such a big issue that we cannot speak or they don't get bans in speaking module, right? So very simple things about speaking. It consists of three parts. One is introduction, second is cue card, and the third one is follow-up questions. Okay, so introduction basically consists of your introduction, and you cannot afford to forget things about yourself. You don't need to fumble in it, and you have to be very confident in this part, especially because it is all about you. All right, so I'm giving you a very small tip how you can introduce yourself. There are these things which I'm going to explain, and if you speak in the same sequence, you will never forget your introduction. Okay, so introduction is name, city you belong to, qualification or vocation. Vocation is what you are doing, okay, the job, the profession. And next is about your family, about your hobbies, about your future goal. These are the things you have to introduce yourself about, right? And after these, sometimes some examiners, they ask you these things in different parts, whereas in other times some examiners just say, okay, tell me something about yourself, or they say introduce yourself. If they say introduce yourself, speak all these things. All right, if they say like what is your name, where do you belong to, that is another thing. All right, after this introduction, there is another part which is also under introduction. They ask you some questions. They take one topic and they ask you some questions related to very common things like sports. Do you play sports? Okay, those will be about you. All right, so you don't need to worry about that part. Introductory part should be very easy and you have to be fluent throughout. One thing. Next, cue card. The most difficult part, according to some people, is the cue card, but it is not at all difficult if you follow some things. Okay, for cue card they give you 1 minute to prepare yourself, and these days they are giving less time also. Okay, so don't actually depend upon 1 minute. You have to prepare yourself in 30 to 40 seconds. Then you have to speak for 2 minutes. Okay, so in the cue card, very simple thing is background statement. Whatever topic you get, just give a background statement, or even you can give a definition of that topic. Okay, then cover the questions. There are 3 to 4 questions. You should cover them. Okay, and it's good to cover them in a sequence, but I would suggest you one thing: don't look at the cue card again and again and try to just cover the questions. Okay, just let it be in the flow. You have to be fluent. It's not like after every question you read the cue card and then you see, okay, and you answer question. No, not like that. You have to cover the question. It is just a hint that these are the things you should include. Next we have is share real life experience. When you are getting out of ideas, okay, my suggestion is always share the real life experience, like your experience related to that topic. Next is always conclude your topic. Never leave your topic without conclusion. It will be remaining incomplete till then. Okay, this is about what you should do, and I have some tips for you. When you are out of ideas or you don't get ideas, what you should keep in mind is there is one way of preparing the cue card. That is, you have to think about all these questions, that am I covering all these questions? What? What means what is the topic? Okay. When it happened. How it happened. Where it happened, the place. Okay. Which and what are somewhat same. Okay. With whom, like the person who accompanied you in that incident. And next is who, like who did it or to whom you did it. Okay, so these are the words which are very helpful when you are out of ideas. Fine. Next tip is that practice the tenses. In the cue card, tenses are very important, and most of the cue cards will be in past tense. Okay, there are a handful of cue cards in future tense and handful of cue cards in present tense. Most of them are in the past tense. So always remember simple past tense and past continuous tense. Also you should remember past perfect also. Alright, so you need to remember tenses. Use variations. Variations are very important. Don't repeat everything. Okay, like kind of sentences also. One sentence can be in active, another can be in passive. Use complex structure, complex sentences. Use compound sentences. Okay, so you can use some kind of sentences. Then avoid repetition. Repetition of what? Repetition of sentences as well as repetition of words. Don't use same kind of vocabulary. Use conjunctions. Conjunctions are the connectors. I have seen many students who use only one connector, moreover, or they use even. They don't even realize that they are using these words so many times. Okay, there is another word that students are really fond of using, that is so and. They don't even realize how many times they are repeating these words. So avoid the repetition. Then use phrases also. It's good to use some phrases. Okay. Avoid idioms. Some people, they are training the students to use as many idioms as they can, but no. Idioms, like we are not going to use idiomatic language. Keep it simple. Use complex structure, use compound sentences, use simple sentences. Okay, don't use idioms. It's not going to fetch you, like it's not going to give you additional bans for it. Okay, if your grammar is not fine and you are using idioms, you are not going to get any bans. All right, so these are my tips for you. Next, last thing is follow-up questions. Like they'll be asking you after the cue card some follow-up questions. Sometimes they are related to the topic, whereas sometimes they are not. They can take up any question. Okay, some questions could be tricky. Some questions could be contradictory also. So you have to remember what you spoke in your cue card so that you don't give contradictory answers, right? So these are my tips for you for speaking, which I really hope are going to be beneficial for you and for your further speaking training. All right, if you have any queries, do comment in the comment section, do subscribe my channel, do share it, and I hope you are liking my work. Thank you.